You know, kid, in times like this, my buddy Timon here says you gotta put your behind in your past.
No.
I mean...
Amateur, lie down before you hurt yourself.
Show your move. Good news, everyone. Don't you when you see onions have
Welcome to 20th Century Boy. My name is exceptionally sick, possibly have the spicy cough Mike. And you can hear it, the low energy in my voice, and this is the inside of my mind. Guys, massive apologies because I'm so sick at the moment. I have had the worst cold for the last week, and it might be a shorter episode. I didn't want to miss a week, but I am feeling really sick. It hurts a lot to talk. You can probably hear it in my voice. So I'm doing my best to get an episode out. It's probably horrific to even listen to me speak for this week's episode, but I mean, I still wanted to do an episode anyway. This podcast, of course, is 20th Century Boy, a podcast by me, Radio Mike, a writer and producer here in Melbourne, Australia, just making his way through life. I have a lot to talk about and a lot to announce, and that's good because this podcast, 20th Century Boy, it's the conversations you wish you were having. What does that mean, Mike? Well, I'll tell you. That was me pretending to be you there. What does that mean? Hey, Mike, what does that mean? Well, I'll explain it to you. So, you know, we go through our daily lives. Hey, how are you? Yeah, good. How are you? Yeah, not bad. How's the kids? Good. How was your weekend? Yeah, bloody just stayed home. Neat. You always, you know, we're having those rote conversations. We're seeing our mates. It's all small talk, right? Because you don't have a forum in your life to have the kinds of conversations that we have on this podcast, right? The kinds of conversations like, can you eat 100 nuggets in 100 minutes? The kinds of conversations like, why are the kids in Stranger Things always playing D&D if the monsters always come back to life? The kind of conversations like, what's another episode we've done in the past? Wow, this podcast is clearly super memorable, but you get the point. You don't have those conversations with your friends, so you come here with Uncle Mikey and listen to this podcast, a one-way conversation between me, Mikey, and you, your name. Insert your name here. And guys, that's what this podcast is all about. Of course, if you want more, obligatory Patreon plug, patreon.com/Radio Mike. Every week you get the Overflow podcast, a bonus 15 to 20 minutes only for the Patreons, exclusive Patreon content, stuff I would never tell on this show, dirty secrets and lies. 60 people over on the Patreon. Let's make it 62. Let's make it 62 very soon. Of course, if you want to support the show in any other way, radiomike.com.au/merch. You can pick up a t-shirt, rock the t-shirt while you're out and be like, this is this fucking great podcast, and it's the conversations you wish you were having, and I'm listening to it, and I wish I was having these conversations. And at TCB Pod on Instagram, daily memes, daily content there, exclusive to listeners, so go and give that a follow. But yeah, $1 a month on the Patreon, or $4 a month if you think every episode's worth $1. $1 a month, though, is $12 a year. You get all this bonus content every week for $12 a year, and plus the standard podcast where you get all the stuff that, you know, all this stuff, like right now, free. So $12 a year is all I ask. It goes a very long way to just helping keep the lights on here. And believe me, we're going to need more money because I have two life announcements. The people on the Overflow over on Patreon will already know about these. But first announcement is I am officially moving out. Woo! That's me going woo, but you can too. So I've been share housing for the past few years, and I have decided it is time for me to go off on my own again, but I've got a little bit more money now so I can get into a nicer place. It is a little bit more expensive, but, you know, that's what I'm working for. And I've always said you've got to pay for the lifestyle you want. So I will actually be moving out to Richmond, which is where I've always wanted to live. It's my favourite suburb in Melbourne. It's right next to Kew, where I grew up. And it's just a young, hip and happening suburb. I grew up south of the river in Melbourne in Kew, but ever since I moved out of home, I've been north of the river. I'm really excited to be back south side, guys. So yeah, I'm going to be living in a really nice 1-bedroom apartment in Richmond, and if you're in Richmond, say g'day if you see me around. I'll be moving in a couple weeks. And yeah, it's going to be really expensive. So if you can help me out, patreon.com/Radio Mike. But I just thought often, and it's no fault of anyone that I live with, but like often, because so much of my job involves making noise, talking, being on mic and stuff, I often feel bad if my housemates are home and I need to record something or I need to do some work, because I don't want to disturb them, especially if it's after hours, and I work a lot. So I just thought it would be the best idea for me to get my own place, settle in there, have my own little studio space in there that I can record stuff whenever I want. Because right now, for instance, and this goes into the next announcement, I'm recording this on a Sunday at my parents' house because my parents are away at the moment, but because my housemates are obviously at home and I don't want to disturb them by doing my dumb podcast while they're on a Sunday weekend break from work, if you know what I mean. So if I have my own space, I can record whenever I want. It means I don't have to worry when I want to make content. So hopefully it'll make my content output a bit better. And just having your own space, like I'm going to be 28 soon. I think it's good to be in your late 20s and start living in your own apartment, having your own sort of life, and yeah, other perks to having your own space, which I'm sure you guys can use your imagination about. But the other announcement is I am back working on The 100 with Andy Lee. If you were a long-time listener of the show, you will know late last year, early this year, I was working full-time on Andy Lee's TV show The 100 as a researcher and scriptwriter. We're back for season 3. I've started that now, so I'm working every day doing that. Plus, I'm doing my normal freelance podcast stuff, so I'm trying to make as much money as possible so I can pay the exorbitant rent of my new place. And yeah, it's really fun. That's another 2 months of that. So at the moment, podcasts will be recorded on Sundays, but then when I'm in my new place, I can record like at 9 o'clock at night. I can record my podcast. Can't do that at the moment with housemates. So just trying to mitigate all those things. But yeah, I'm back on The 100 full time. I'm super busy. I think I got sick because I got so overwhelmed with all of that. But that's where I'm at, guys. I'm really excited for this next chapter of my life. And what I really hope is, having my own space really helps me to up my content output. So yeah, the more of you that support as possible on Patreon, the better. Patreon.com/Radio Mike. It would mean the world. Even $12 a year, it's not that much money, and it does really help cut some of the costs down for making this show, especially now that I'm paying way more money in rent than I have for the past 3 years, which I'm going to be like not losing money, but I've got to start cost cutting in places. So yeah, Patreon, if you can support this show, please do. It costs $15 a month to just host this show online. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Guys, I've been thinking this podcast has been going for 4.5 years. This is season 4 of the podcast. We're halfway through season 4. And what I thought we were missing, something particular that I thought we were missing is, on like radio stations, for example, here in Melbourne, you've got like Fox FM, and sometimes they play all the hit music, right? They'll play like Justin Bieber, the Kid Laroi, Ariana Grande. Who else are the kids liking these days? Who's one of those? I don't know. All those kinds of artists. The Chainsmokers, right? And then like, what they do is, and all the radio stations do it, is part of like the press and the publicity of these people and their PR, the artists, is like, I assume they just get handed a little piece of paper that it's like, you have to say all of these radio station names so they can create sweeps and stings out of them. So Justin Bieber will sit there and be like, hey guys, what's up? It's Justin Bieber and you're listening to Fox FM. Hey guys, it's Ariana Grande and you're on the Fox, right? And they play them, and then the people listening think like, oh, whoa, how'd Ariana Grande like knows about the Fox? Like, she doesn't. They've just given her a piece of paper and she's read every single radio station everywhere in the world because that's part of her obligations. But yeah, so radio stations do that. I thought, we need some of that. So we need to get a few celebrity endorsements for this show, get people talking about the show, get celebrities aware of the show, because if you guys hear that celebrities are into this show and celebrities are endorsing this show and support this show 100%, then you guys will think it's cooler, and you people be like, wow, how do you get that celebrity? Well, that must be a cool podcast. We should listen to it. So look, I reached out to a few celebrities that I know, just celebrities that I've, come across in my travels, doing what I do for work. You get introduced to a lot of different famous people. That's cool. It's just part of the job. You don't really pay attention to it. And I just asked them, to record some sweeps and little stings that we can put in the midst of the podcast, just to sort of, just to spice things up. So here's the first one.
Hi, this is Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad, and you're listening to 20th Century Boy with Radio Mike.
Yeah, Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad, just one of the celebrities I've come across in the past through my travels. So really, really stoked that he was able to record one. I also I did reach out to a few other celebrities, and I'm not trying to brag about the celebrities I know, but this is just kind of part of growing the podcast. So I got a couple other celebrities to record some messages, and there'll be some in every episode just splattered in for the next few weeks. Here's another one.
Hey guys, it's Kermit the Frog, and you're listening to Radio Mike's podcast, 20th Century Boy.
Yeah, really good one there. Really good get from Kermit. Didn't expect him to do it, but he was like I was like, hey mate, I know you're super busy. Well, not that busy these days, but if you have time, it would be awesome for you to just do this. And he was like, mate, no worries, anytime. Don't even go through my agent. Just go straight to me. So yeah, he's done that. And probably one of my favorite celebrity endorsements for the show, but this isn't the last. There'll be some scattered throughout future episodes of the show, but couldn't believe I got this guy to do one. I mean, I didn't think we'd get Bryan Cranston. I didn't think we'd get Kermit the Frog. And then for this guy to just come through, and similar to Kermit, was just so happy to help out the show. It's like, mate, love your pod, would happily do it. I'll send it through tomorrow or the next day. Just give me a couple days and I'll sort it out. Couldn't believe it. So special thanks to this dude.
What's up? It's Bart Simpson, and this is my favorite podcast, 20th Century Boy with Radio Mike.
Yeah.
Hey, caramba.
Oh, ay caramba. He forgot his catchphrase, his trademark catchphrase, ay caramba there. But yeah, so huge first few guests there. Bryan Cranston, Kermit the Frog, Bart Simpson, all recording messages for this show. Not quite Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande. I mean, Brian, they're all pretty big. Bart Simpson's pretty big. So yeah, expect to hear a few of those littered through the podcast in the next few weeks. I love how I'm like at the start of this pod, I'm like, guys, I'm really sick. It's probably going to be a short pod this week. Neck minute, we're 12 minutes 40 in, and I've talked about pretty much nothing so far. So you can write into the show anytime, and maybe this will just be like a catch-up kind of pod. You can write into the show anytime. RadioMikePod@gmail.com is a great way to get in touch. Radio.Mike on Insta. It's Radio Mike on Twitter, @TCBpod on Instagram. RadioMike.com.au/contact. Guys, I am making it so easy for you guys to write into the show. And of course, the podcast hotline.
If you've got a contribution to the podcast, there's only one number you see. Go 1-800-438-353.
Call it, leave a voicemail anytime, guys. Would love more voicemails on the show. A special welcome to our Denver correspondent, Radio Ryan Adams. Radio Ryan Adams, all the way from Denver in Colorado.
Denver sucks ass.
And has written into the show several times. I believe is in his late 40s or early 50s and loves this show. Loves having a one-way conversation with Uncle Mikey, Radio Mikey, down under in Melbourne. And it's awesome having listeners all over the world, wherever you're listening from, right into the show. Now, I did do a bit of bonus content on the podcast last week where I used to do on YouTube a monthly movie vlog where I would talk about every movie that I watched in a month, and I've decided to make that a monthly podcast bonus. So the first one of those is up. Check it out on your feed. Radio Ryan Adams, he's written in based on that. And he says, first of all, if you're from the States, don't tell anyone your favorite Steve Martin movie is Cheaper by the Dozen. Why not? That's a great film. Cheaper by the Dozen is an awesome film with Steve Martin. He says, don't tell anyone, you'll get beat up. Secondly, Army of Darkness is the best. You should just use clips from that movie for your soundboard. I want you to play Come Get Some Sugar Baby instead of Denver Sucks Ass whenever you read my letters.
Denver sucks ass.
Sorry about that. Third, Pixar is for babies. DreamWorks is, this is all stuff I talked about on the movie bonus pod. DreamWorks is so much better. They have Shrek, How to Train Your Dragon, and the greatest animated movie of all time, Madagascar 3. Watch Madagascar 3 again, it's amazing. See, that implies that I have seen Madagascar 3. Don't think I ever made it past Madagascar 1, but I'll continue. Pixar is all, what bad memory can we have for a little girl to get over so we can look deep? Well, DreamWorks is like, what about a love scene between a lemur and a circus bear? Finally, you should totally watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's the better multiverse movie. And if I may, you should watch Big Trouble in Little China with your dad. It'll change your life and your dad would be excited to watch it with you. Seriously, don't tell anyone your favorite Steve Martin movie is Cheaper by the Dozen. Guys, my favorite Steve Martin movie is Cheaper by the Dozen.
Denver sucks ass.
But thank you so much for writing in, Radio Ryan Adams. And Radio Lewis or Louis Grant can sometimes go both ways with Lewis spelt with an S. Some people it's Louis, like Louis Armstrong. Some people it's Lewis. Hey, brother. Happy 25th birthday. I don't even use Instagram, but in the first 3 minutes of your podcast episode, Who the Hell is Radio Nacho Cheese, which was an episode of season 1 of the pod, we're now in season 4, you mentioned that we should all wish you a happy 25th birthday no matter when we are listening. Also, I'm loving the pod. Love your deep dives into the bands you mention, and also your mental health and body image. Can't wait to binge the rest of your episodes. Thank you so much. Good to have a new listener. It might be a few months before you get to this episode, but good to have you on board, Radio Louie. Really stoked that you wrote into the show. Look, this next bit is all kind of goes hand in hand with a segment we've been doing, well, I've been doing, you guys have been experiencing on the podcast for the last few months, and it's a little segment called, I don't know, this? Pull out the red carpet because it's Mike's big year of premieres. It is my big year of premieres. It was originally supposed to be Mike's big year of footy, where I was going to get really into AFL, but about halfway through the season I realised, oh shit, I have done no AFL prep. I have not watched a single game. I've not taken any more interest than any other year. I've got to pivot this. That's where I came up with the idea of Mike's big year of premieres, because as an influencer like me, a big Instagram influencer with a huge 6,000 followers, and we did reach that milestone. Congratulations, guys. Well, more me. You guys helped by following me. 12,000 on TikTok. What the heck? How did we get here? Right? I've started getting invited to a bunch of movie premieres here in Melbourne. Pull the red carpet up. It's Mike's big year of premieres. You heard the intro to the segment. And we've actually been to a few now. We've been to the Bob's Burgers movie premiere at the Coburg Drive-Ins. Then we had... What did we have after that? Oh, Jurassic World Dominion, Buzz Lightyear. Well, it's just called Lightyear. And the other night, my brother and I went to the premiere of the finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I will talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi in a sec, but I did want to say, we were worried because we didn't know if Mike's big year of premieres would just be a month, because I didn't have any other premieres lined up other than after Obi-Wan Kenobi. Suddenly, I leave Obi-Wan Kenobi the screening. So I'll tell you about the screening of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So this isn't about the content, so there's no spoilers. So it was at IMAX here in Melbourne in the city. Well, it's in Carlton, really. My brother and I went, and it was definitely the biggest premiere so far. Like, they had gone all out. There were people in, staff dressed in costumes and cosplayers everywhere that you could take photos with, giant lightsabers, and every single person got a Star Wars action figure. Mine was Princess Leia, but we got into the cinema early and they were all on the seats. So I actually swapped my Princess Leia for the person in front of me who had Obi-Wan. So I took Obi-Wan instead. Sorry to the guy in front of me. And then I Everyone also got a limited edition poster of Obi-Wan Kenobi at the end, as well as like your standard free popcorn and free drink. Amazing. Photo in front of the photo wall, as always, with Darth Vader. Did a funny Instagram caption where I was like there was a guy in a Darth Vader suit, and I was like, oh, pretty brazen for Darth Vader to show up to the premiere of the series where he's the main villain, especially after all those people he killed. I thought that was pretty funny. But it was actually, one thing I will say, there is something really scary about a guy in a Darth Vader costume. I was like, oh my God, it's like it was a really accurate costume. I'm like, it's like Darth Vader is here. It's kind of scary. He's a scary character. Went in and, they showed episode 5 and episode 6, the last episode, kind of back to back. And Dilruk Jayasena was there. And I didn't line anything up, but I might try and get Dilruk on because Dilruk did something really interesting halfway through that I wanted to grill him about, but I might try and line that up for next week if he's free. Okay, so then, anyway, I sit down and then I should say a few weeks earlier, and this is where I bring this up. As you know on this podcast, we are the world's only winnable podcast. You can win this podcast. How do you win, Mike? I'll tell you. I'll tell you right now. Thanks, Mike. That's you guys. That's what you guys are saying. You win the podcast by listening to the podcast in public. Do a 360 on the spot. I'm actually on a spinny chair right now, so I'm actually going to do one. So I've just done, for video viewers on YouTube, I've just done a 360 on the spot, right? On my spinny chair. While doing your 360, if you happen to see me in your vicinity, you've won the podcast. You have to be listening to the podcast and you see me in the vicinity. Lots of people now do see me in the flesh and they go, oh, Mike, how are you? Hey, podcast Mike, radio Mike, multimedia Mike, right? It's happening more and more. Whatever. People recognize my voice. Literally, the other day, because we're moving house, people are coming and inspecting our house to be the tenants after us. The real estate agent who came to like open the house to inspect it was like, oh, I know your voice. You're Mike. And I was like, it's bloody me. Here I am. Talk to her for like 15 minutes, whatever. That was cool. It's always cool. Please come up to me if you see me or hear me. It is getting kind of weird because it is happening frequently now. Like people are like, Mike. And I'm like, oh, like people know my face and my voice. More so my voice, but more people are knowing my face now. I don't know how. So anyway, a few weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, about a month ago, I was going into the city. I got on the train. I think I talked about it in this podcast. Got on the train on my way to the city at Kensington Station. As soon as I got on the train, this guy goes, oh, Radio Mike. His name was Mark. Welcome to the radio family, Mark. And, he wasn't listening to the podcast, so he didn't win the podcast, but he could have if he was listening to the podcast. But here was the most interesting thing. So me and Mark had a great chat. We talked all the way to the city. We took a selfie together. Really fun meeting Mark. Loved it. I sit down at Obi-Wan Kenobi. 2 guys come in after us and sit next to me and my brother. And I look over and this guy looks at me and just goes, Radio Mike again? And I go, Mark. And it was Mark, the exact same guy from the train. He was like, I just loved how he was like, Radio Mike again. Because the first time he was like, Radio Mike. Anyway, so Mark and me are now friends. We see each other everywhere. We took a photo together. It was really good fun. But I just thought it was really funny that I saw Mark twice within a month, and it was just such a coincidence. I actually think I might, when I'm not as sick, I think I might do a
Hey guys, it's Kermit the Frog, and you're listening to Radio Mike's podcast, 20th Century Boy.
Sorry guys, that one just triggered on its own accord. When I'm not sick, I might do a full spoiler review of Obi-Wan Kenobi, but I do want to say that generally speaking, I loved it. I thought the finale was everything I've ever wanted a Star Wars thing to be since Revenge of the Sith. Like, it was just revisiting Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship, and Anakin is now Darth Vader. Phenomenal. And my voice is getting sore, so I will do a full spoiler thing, but I guess I just wanted to say, I I've talked about it before. I love the character of Anakin, you know, and how he descends into darkness to become Darth Vader, the most evil villain in the galaxy, right? And the thing is, Anakin has so many good qualities that are all lost in Darth Vader. And I guess without spoiling it, well, I mean, let's just say there might be some plot spoilers for Obi-Wan here, but there will be. There's this incredible dual lightsaber battle, force battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin towards the end. Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, really. And one of the things I love about the character of Darth Vader is just the fact that you kind of forget that beneath the mask, the iconic Darth Vader mask, is a man. Like there is a man under that mask. And now, as Obi-Wan says in the original trilogy, he's more machine than man because Anakin was obviously burnt alive. He's really just a head and a bit of a torso and an arm. The rest of him is all mechanical. That's why he has that breathing apparatus that helps him breathe automatically. That's why Darth Vader has the sound, because he's not breathing manually. He's breathing with a machine. It's very rare that you get to see inside the mask. It's like such a menacing wall. And in this final battle between, not final battle, but in the final battle of this show between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, Obi-Wan smashes half of the mask off. And then you see kind of the two sides, which is you see the Darth Vader mask, half of it, and then you see Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker's face inside, looking hurt, in pain, suffering, sad, because that's what Anakin became when his wife died and he felt betrayed by the Jedi, if you've seen them. And I might put some audio in here because, again, just this performance from Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan where he goes, Anakin, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's heart-wrenching. And then you just hear, it's this incredible meshing of the iconic Darth Vader, James Earl Jones voice, and Hayden Christensen's voice. This meshing of it, and he just goes, Anakin is gone.
Anakin's gone. I am what remains.
And it's distorted and robotic, but it's still Hayden. And then he has a few lines of dialogue, not, with not the whole mask on. It's definitely the first time in live action we've seen that. In the last original trilogy Star Wars, Luke Skywalker takes the mask off Darth Vader and he dies and he speaks a little bit. But it's the first time since then that we've had that, and the production on it, the quality on it, and then Obi-Wan leaves and Darth Vader screams Obi-Wan, and it's honestly like a curdling, scary scream. You don't often see Darth Vader as emotional and having emotions, and he actually says to Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I loved this line, he actually says to him, you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did.
I am not your failure, Obi-Wan. You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did.
And it's like he's been taken over by the darkness and the dark side, and that's what he's become. He's become Darth Vader. He says Anakin is gone. I killed him, essentially. And I just thought it was an incredible writing and incredible production, incredible acting, incredible delivery, and I loved it. I've pretty much done a full spoiler thoughts on it, but I am fascinated by that part of that character, the masking of it, and then to have it, the mask fractured and the breathing apparatus stunted, and you can hear Darth Vader gasping for air, and Hayden Christensen and there's this beautiful moment where the blue lightsaber is over on Anakin's face, and he goes, you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, and his face is all blue, and then he says, I did, and then Darth Vader's red lightsaber lights up his face red, and so many incredible decisions like that. I thought this series was amazing. I might do a bonus just talking more about it, but yeah, absolutely loved the Obi-Wan Kenobi finale. Guys, just quickly, I want to do something marginally linked to this.
Yeah, g'day everyone, it's Radio Nacho Cheese here. G'day Radio Mike, it's Radio Nacho Cheese here again. Radio Nacho Cheese here again. Radio Nacho Cheese here.
He's Radio Nacho Cheese and this is his weekly update! Yeah, so long-time listeners of the show, of course, you know Radio Nacho Cheese is our... I don't know, he's the best friend of the show. We love him. He used to contribute weekly to the show, just calling the podcast hotline and going, "Hey guys, it's Radio Nacho Cheese, just doing a weekly update." And yeah, we love him. He became part of the show's fabric. He has gone quiet recently, and I questioned him on it. I said, "Nach, do you still listen to the pod?" He said, "I've not missed an episode since day one." He's an anonymous guy. We don't know his true identity, but he calls himself Radio Nacho Cheese. Love him for it. And he actually emailed me the other day because towards the end of last year, he said, "I'm planning something big for the end of season 3 of the pod." And I said, cool. Actually, Radio Nacho Cheese is not unlike Darth Vader. He's actually a little bit like Darth Vader. We don't know who he is, but we know deep down inside him there's a lot of good, right? He's a masked figure, right? Now, Nacho Cheese said he was planning something big for the end of the season. It never came. I got worried because I was like, I guess Nacho Cheese doesn't listen to the podcast anymore. And I thought, well, that's fine. People come and go from the pod all the time. If you haven't listened for a while and this is your first one back, welcome back. Sorry, I'm so sick. Love you lots. Jump on and off. It's fine. But Nacho emailed me and said, no, I was just so ashamed by the fact that I didn't deliver on my promise of doing something big for the end of the show, that I've gone quiet. And I said, Nach, you do not, absolutely do not need to worry about that, and you do not need to feel ashamed. You're the best friend of the show, and you have never done anything, I repeat, anything wrong by this show, and we all love you. I don't know why I played that. I thought it was going to go, "Why'd you have to go away from home, me love?" Which is anyway, if you're new to the show, you're probably very confused. But that song, "Me Love," by whatever his name is. I'm sick, so I can't remember his name. What's his name? Why'd you have to go away from home, me love? That song, it's Sean Kingston, by the way. That song is kind of like what we think about you, Nacho Cheese. Why'd you have to go away from home, me love, right? So I asked a few of you to send in some voice memos to 1-800-438-353 or just attach them to an email and just reassure Nach that everything's okay. Everything's fine. Patrio Cusbro, welcome to the radio family. You kicked it off.
Hey, Radio Mike. It's Radio Cusbro here, or Patrio Cusbro, I guess you'd say. Just wanted to let Radio Nacho Cheese know that he's not to be ashamed, and hope he's doing okay, and we look forward to hearing his update when he can do it. There's no pressure. Cusbro, out.
Thank you, Cusbro. A really positive message there. And Nacho, I do hope you're listening to this and you're hearing. No one is upset. Radio Lunchtime, have never heard from you before, but welcome to the radio family. Here's what he had to say.
Hey, Mike. It's Radio Lunchtime here. It's just about 6 o'clock on Wednesday, the 22nd of June. Just got a message for Nacho Cheese, if that's okay. Nach, mate, don't worry about the peter out. You're the best friend of the show. You're probably my best friend as well, and we just want to hear you back, giving those sweet updates. Can't wait to hear from you soon, Nacho. I love you, and I love you too, Mike, and the radio family. Catch up.
Now, that was a very nice message there from Radio Lunchtime, but I long-term listeners of the show and new-time listeners, I did want to raise one thing about Radio Lunchtime there. Because if you don't know what Radio Nacho Cheese sounds like, his voice is at the top of this sting, so just have a listen.
Yeah, g'day everyone, it's Radio Nacho Cheese here. G'day Radio Mike, it's Radio Nacho Cheese here again. Radio Nacho Cheese here again. Radio Nacho Cheese here.
Okay, so that's what Radio Nacho Cheese sounds like. Have a listen to Radio Lunchtime again.
Hey Mike, it's Radio Lunchtime here.
Okay, Does anyone else think Radio Lunchtime kind of sounds a lot like Radio Nacho Cheese if he was doing a voice to not sound like Radio Nacho Cheese? I genuinely think Nacho has sent a voicemail in as someone else and he's trying to get us with this. Is this true?
Hey, Mike, it's Radio Lunchtime here.
I think he's putting on a nasally voice. So here's what I want. Nacho Cheese, we want you back with the show. Send a voicemail. Radio Lunchtime, if you are a different person, also send a voicemail. Because I just want to check if you're the same person, because I think it's very funny if you are. Send in 2 independent messages and I'll try and verify it somehow. Guys, my throat is getting really sore from talking. I had a couple more things I wanted to do, but I think I'm going to leave it here, so we'll just quickly do this. The plug! My apologies again about my voice if it was a bit grating to listen to this week. I hope I'm going to be better by tomorrow. I'm really over this. But the plug-wise, Hamish and Andy, as always, you can listen to some of the other stuff I work on. Tofop, which is Will Anderson and Charlie Clausen's podcast, which is fun. Harry Potter and the Boys comes back this week. It's my Harry Potter fan fiction podcast. Sammy Garlep joins me again, so that's a lot of fun. The chapter is called... The chapter is called The Main Plot in This Currently Pointless Book Begins, which is obviously a funny chapter. Sammy and I will be binge recording a few of those just to tide us over for the time while we're both working on The 100, and he also works on a few other shows. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the moment. Plus, my voice is actually getting so sore from talking, and I have to record the Patreon overflow. Patreon.com/Radio Mike, little as $1 a month. I'm really sorry this is a shorter ep. But yeah, you can hear that I'm sick, so I've done my best, guys. I've bloody done my best today. Thank you so much for listening. I'll catch you guys next week. Hopefully I'll be much better. My name's been Radio Mike. This has been The Inside of My Mind. Catch you later.